Hi everyone, welcome back to Stampin' Storytellers. This video will be my last project using the Pansy Patch stamp set and coordinating dies. This project doesn't use the dies, but they are a great asset to have in your stamping stash when you have this stamp set, as it cuts out all of the pansy images and has extra detail dies that go with it. So let's get started. I have a Highland Heather card base that we can score there. Then I have a Granny Apple Green layer that I have embossed with the Ornate Floral Embossing folder, and the Ornate border dies have these awesome little strips. So I'm going to start with that and adhere these to the edge of that Granny Apple Green layer. Then we'll trim off the ends so they are flush with the edge of our green layer. Whoops, so there's that layer. Oops, upside down. So there's that layer. Now I'll just adhere that to the front of our card base. And we'll center it on there. And we'll let that dry. Then on a stitched rectangle of our watercolor paper, I'm going to start with the largest solid image of the large pansy, and I'm going to stamp that in Highland Heather. And to get your paper, or your watercolor paper, ready, I'm just going to spritz twice and then use my aqua painter just to rub it around, just so there isn't a pool of water, but it's the whole piece has water on it. Then I'll ink up my Highland Heather, and I'm going to stamp this twice. One there and one there. And you'll see, because we added the water, as soon as we stamp and lift off, then it starts to kind of fray the edge of that stamp. Now we'll heat this up and make sure it's totally dry. And you want to make sure it's totally dry. You don't want to have any wet spots before or left on here before you stamp again, because then it will just turn to mud. So now in Gorgeous Grape with the detail pansy image, I'm going to stamp those on top of there, and this is what will give us our definition for what that purple blob is supposed to be. So now you have a really nice Gorgeous Grape on top, and we're done with that color. Now with your aqua painter, I'm going to add water just on the inside here, and try not to get any of the purple wet. And with the next layer, so this is our third layer of ink in Daffodil Delight, and ink up that and stamp it down. So that'll start to bleed, and that's what we want. Clean off my stamp, and then we'll do it on this one. And again, not doing too much water, but just putting it exactly where I'm going to stamp so that it can kind of bleed out that image as well. And one last layer in Memento Black. And this one, I'm not going to add water, but if it is wet still, then that's okay. I'll add that there. and the little center in Daffodil Delight. And now that I'm done my stamping on that watercolor paper, I'm just going to dry it one more time to make sure it's nice and dry before we add it to our card. So there we go. Now I can pop that up on dimensionals. And add that right on the right hand side. So doesn't that look nice? I really like how you can control the water to make sure that they don't get too out of control, but it still gives you that nice watercolor look. Now on a sentiment strip of So Saffron, I'm just going to trim either end on a bit of an angle and stamp my sentiment. I'm just doing thank you on the left hand side. And add that right, maybe I'll trim a little bit more off. Right down the center of those two flowers. And now I should have a bumblebee. This is actually a retired die. This is a die from the honeybee bundle that was in the Occasions catalog in 2020. And I really like that. So I just thought it needed something, and this was sitting on my die board, and I was like, yep, that's what we need. So I'm just going to add that with a rolled up dimensional, or a rolled up glue dot just on the body of him. I'm going to add him right there, and then we'll get my Wink of Stella and color his wings. And there we go, a really fun watercolor effect on watercolor paper. That's one of the most important parts, is that you need watercolor paper when you're adding water to your cardstock. And I'll show you my example card. I did put some leaves in there, and I don't know if I like it with or without, so you can let me know if you like it with the added watercolor leaves or without. I like the simple one too. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you'd like to purchase any Stampin' Up! Product or would like a Pansy Patch Stamp Camp Kit in the mail, you can shop directly from my blog, stampinstorytellers.blogspot.com, from my online store, stampinstorytellers.stampinup.net, and let me know which one you like, the one with the green leaves beside the flowers, or the plainer one without greenery. Thanks so much and have a great day. Bye.